Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here. Well, we are about to face one of the most critical and one of the most important U.S. elections that we have ever had in our entire history. I mean, we're talking about a time either we're going to freedom or we're going to bondage and slavery. That is what we're facing in light of the pandemic, in light of the economic crisis, in light of our crash that's happening all around us, in light of the riots and the uprising and all of it. This is by far one of the most important elections. And in today's report, I'm really going to dive into what I see happening in this particular election. And in all honesty, I believe there are very few scenarios in which President Trump does not win the election, with exception to one disastrous thing. And that one disastrous exception is if you do not get out there and vote. We have to make our voices heard tomorrow. We have to be loud in the ballot box. Because here's the thing, with the amount of election scandals and frauds that are happening all around us, if President Trump doesn't have a major majority, that could be an issue at the U.S. election because, as you know, we have to go well and above 50% of the vote in our voting system. So we need to knock it out of the park like we did last year. But so much to show you in regards to what's going on. So I'm just going to kind of dive right in here. As most of you know, Trump's rallies have been massive and Joe Biden's have been itty bitty 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 bitty. I mean, that alone should speak. But here we are, gatewaypundit.com, rally tally update. Trump train is rolling with 500 times. That's a huge number of rally participants as basement Biden, even crooked Hillary in 2016. Crushes Biden's numbers. That's massive. Here's another one on the Gateway Pundit also. President Trump greeted with a crowd of 58,000 supporters at yesterday's Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, if we compare that to the size of Joe Biden's Pennsylvania rally, and just to give you an idea, this has been across the board, by the way, but 58,000 supporters in Pennsylvania. And you can see the huge picture here. But Biden, on the other hand, here we are, CourierTimes.com. It's time to go, folks. Joe Biden campaigns in Bucks County. That's there in Pennsylvania as well. But you can see the picture here. There is not very many people. And this is the place, by the way, Pennsylvania was where Joe Biden was born. But you can see President Trump's numbers are blowing his out of the park. But there's just some of the cars you can see in the background of it. But not even anywhere close. Maybe 100 people, maybe a couple hundred at the most at Joe Biden's rally there in Pennsylvania, and 58,000 for President Trump. Here's another one here. This is Biden's Florida rally in Broward County. Here's some of the pictures of his. You can see a bunch of cars there, but not real big, right? But if you get on over to President Trump's rally there, we see thousands gathered for Trump campaign rally in Tampa, Florida. And this is MSNBC. They actually admitted, right, to some of that. But I digress. It was even far more than that. But this has been the cliche with President Trump and his rallies so far, right? Not only that, what are the polls actually saying? Now, we've got a lot of Democratic polls like they were in Hillary Clinton's time saying Hillary Clinton's going to win. Well, we've got a lot of polls saying Joe Biden's going to win. Again, those are those CNN, ABC, mainstream media polls that they put out every year. And 99% of the time, they always show a Democrat winning because they only poll Democrats for the most part. They poll some Republicans, let me give them a little credit, but a majority of Democrats. But here's some polls that are coming out that I want you to be aware of that mainstream media is not talking about. A pollster predicted a Trump victory for the 2020 election. Now, this is part of this group right here. And the chief pollster was Robert Cahill with the Stagwell Group, President Mark Penn, who weighed in on the polling legitimacy for the election. They are predicting President Trump is going to win. But here's another one here, and this is on WND News. Democracy Institute polls show Trump winning the Electoral College. Why? Because there is failing black support for Joe Biden in his campaign, and that's the Achilles heel. Now, I believe last year, President Trump, I want to say, had 8% of the black vote. And now, according to Rasmussen, this has gone up to, 31% of the vote. It says, if the presidential election was held today, would you vote for Trump or Biden? The national daily black likely voter percent for the POTUS. And here's the dates, right? On the 26th, it was 27. On the 27th, it was 30. And then on the 29th, 31%. According to this poll, of the black vote went to President Trump. This is 2 to 3 times his prior number, and that alone could set him over the election with Joe Biden. So there's that. Then we have this endorsement, which I thought was interesting. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette has officially endorsed President Trump. And let me take you to the bottom of the article here, because that's the important part. And it says this newspaper has not supported a Republican president since 1972. That's a long time. But we believe Mr. Trump, for all his faults, is the better choice this year. So we've got massive endorsements from a newspaper who hasn't supported a Republican candidate in years. This is fairly huge. And like I said at the beginning of this, whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican or a libertarian or conservative or whatever, it doesn't matter. Right now, we are choosing between globalism and complete and utter tyranny and surveillance state, or we're choosing between freedom of the United States of America. So we have to take our glasses off for Republican and Democrat at this point. And we have to remove it and understand that the true issue right now is whether we're going to be free or not. And we still have to get the local level and start getting the right people elected in at our local level, because right now there's a bunch of tyranny at the local level, right here in our home country. At home, we're facing it. But that's truly what this election is about. Now, another thing that I think is really starting to hamper the Democrat side is the fact that they are coming out more and more for their support on communism, which is socialism, progressive, always leads to communism. That's it. They're one and the same. And now Kamala Harris has come out and basically all but admitted it, right? Here's Breitbart.com. Kamala Harris promotes socialism 2 days ahead of the election. Equitable treatment means we all end up in the exact same place, also known as communism, socialism, right? Socialism, communism. But the reason that they put this out is because Kamala Harris put up a tweet on her Twitter page that promotes the idea of communism, socialism. But here's the video that she put up, and she's titled it, "There's a big difference between equality and equity," right? And I'm going to play this video for you without the sound, but it says there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests, everyone should get the same amount. The problem with that is not everybody starting out from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we could get the same amount. But you're still going to be that far behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support that they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place. And that's her little blissful scenario there. And let me make this more clear to you. This is socialism. You see the two people on the top of the mountain? That's not you and me. That's them at the top of the mountain. Take that guy who was at the top and pull him to the bottom, right? It's a complete fabrication and flip. They want everybody at the bottom of the barrel. That is what socialism is. And that's what she's vouching for. She's acting like we're just going to make everybody rich. Same pay, same job, same whatever. They're not talking about uniques and differences. And when she's talking about everybody's not on the same footing, yes, we are. We all have an opportunity to go to college. I didn't have anyone pay for my college. I came up with that money and I had to go in debt like everybody else. Sure, there's better ways we can do it, but we don't do it by providing the falsity of everything being free. It's never free, folks. It's never free. And giving people all the same pay while us peons are at the bottom, never ever able to, run for a political office because we will never have enough money to do that. So the only people that are able to ever run for offices are the people at the very top of the pyramid and their offspring, right? So you always have a powerful elite over the poor class. And this has really turned a lot of people away from the Democratic Party, even Democrats. We're bashing her for that. Does the Democratic Party now see that it's been taken over by socialist communism? Please. We are a long way away. And then we even have this, right? This is Breitbart.com. Bernie Sanders admits Democrats are the party of the coastal elites. Yeah, right. They're starting to wake up a little more each day. And then we also have Democrats now pushing for compulsory or forced voting. Is compulsory voting the fix for low voter turnout? Basically, you serve jail time or some kind of penalties if you don't get out and vote. I don't know about you, but if you don't want to vote, you probably shouldn't be voting, because then you're just going to go in there and check whatever box. No, compulsory voting isn't a good idea, but this is the kind of stuff they're pushing. Not only that, but on the Democratic ticket, we have another agenda like this. This is on Fox News. House Democrats move. This is back in 2019, but it's not going to change in 2020, right? They move to eliminate the Electoral College, limit presidential pardon power, and more in first days back. Get rid of the Electoral College. That's a radical thing. We're talking about seriously changing society. Not to mention, they're talking about packing the Supreme Court and adding more senators by adding more states to the United States of America. This is to rig every election in favor of the Democrats. So say you take a state like California, break it into a couple of states, get a lot more Democrats because it's a Democratic state. Now what? Same with other things, like, the Supreme Court, packing the Supreme Court. These are radical ideas. These are not normal ideas. And then we have the election chaos coming from Antifa and BLM and the left, talking about violence. We even had Nancy Pelosi talking about it. So much so, but the president now is getting a security built around him. Here we have NBCNewYork.com, White House building non-scalable fence, increasing security ahead of the election, building a fence around the president. Of course, we have more chaos breaking out. DailyCaller.com. Every city is preparing for it. Here's what police are doing ahead of possible election unrest. There's all kinds of unrest coming in our U.S. election. But again, I think there are very few scenarios, right, in which President Trump doesn't win the U.S. election. I think he can win, and I know there's a lot of corruption going on, a lot of stealing going on, but you have to get out there and you have to make your voices heard and you have to vote and you have to vote and make it count. Because if we don't have a mass majority, a super majority, then we could easily be given away to voter fraud and the Democrats can take it. Right? We know that a lot of Democrats, especially DAs, are funded by George Soros and his organizations. This is not a fact. This is not a conspiracy theory. And a lot of people think it is. It's not. It's a proven fact. And thankfully, people like Lindsey Graham and others are coming out and actually talking about it now. And this is a real thing and a real disaster that we could run into. And of course, they could steal the election. We all know that. But we have to wake up and watch really closely. So if you're at the polls, watch, listen, learn. If you have to wait 2 hours in line, 3 hours in line, bring water, but get out there and make your voice heard. Anyhow, with that, please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. Right now, they are giving away a 24 karat gold American Gold Eagle coin with any approved IRA. But the thing is awesome, and I want to encourage you guys to check that out there. And if you haven't converted your 401k, I want to do that. I want to encourage you to do that because we are living in unstable times. And if a Democrat gets in, then we're in hell over high water. Not to mention our taxes are going to skyrocket. That alone is a reason not to vote for Joe Biden, who wants to massively increase everyone's taxes. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.